Hello, CBU for Tuition Equity. This is Dr. Lukowski. I'm in my office and I'm giving you some feedback on your blog posts. I thought about typing it up, but I figured I'll just kind of walk you through some of it because I think hearing what I have to say and kind of seeing me move through the screen might help you guys a little bit. So just in your opening screen, I think you guys have an effective use of white space. It's really clear where you want the author's eye to fall. I'm going to say, I think one of the things you could do is maybe be more effective in your use of space over here. I like that you have archives and you have a search, but consider using a tag cloud or a word cloud or other widgets used by WordPress that would help you visualize for your reader what kinds of material they're looking at. You could use follow somebody in Twitter and use a Twitter feed, however you want to do it, but maybe kind of exploit the affordances of this blog space a little more effectively in that regard. I like this kind of opening page, the Tennessee States Committee's Exercise in Futility. It's a powerful title. You have this really great image. My curiosity is, where did the image come from and who took it? We want to make sure people get credit for their work. Hope for this bill promising in-state tuition for undocumented students in Tennessee has been momentarily dashed by the Tennessee State Committee, Senate Committee. And I think that's a really good opening, and it's powerful hook for your readers. The bill sponsored by Tennessee Senator Todd Gardenhire, Republican, aimed at drastically reducing. I think this is also good, in that you're kind of informing your reader about what's happening. And I think it's good writing, so I would say keep going it. It was essentially killed as it did not pass through this Tennessee Senate Committee on Wednesday. Let's make sure we put a date here, so in case somebody comes back to this a year from now, we know which Wednesday we're talking about. You can even just put it in parentheses here. I would also say when you're talking about the bill, you might want to actually do a hyperlink to the text of the bill, so if an author or reader is curious, they can kind of go back and look at it themselves. Same thing with Todd Gardenhire. If we want to know who he is, maybe a link to who he is would be effective use of hyperlinks there too. The death of the bill is yet another frustrating instance of young undocumented Americans being used to further partisan political one-upmanship. That's a big claim. But I think you're doing a pretty good job of supporting that claim by looking at the fact that it's an election year. One of those states, Representative Diane Black, went so far as to take a personal shot at Gardenhire by stating too many times, "This is good." My question is, where did you get this quotation from? Was it in a story? Was it in a recording? Make sure you link to that so we know where that material is coming from. In case she decides she wants to contest it. Also, if you got it from a news source, you want to make sure that the person who got that information is getting credit for posting it, because that's pretty incendiary. Black's comment is unfortunately the exact kind of empty rhetoric that has proven successful during recent election cycles. I think this is great, and I think you guys are doing a good job here. While Black's campaign claims to prioritize the state economy, her vote fails to consider the tremendous economic benefits that access to higher education provides. Good claim. Where's your evidence? I would love to see something more. I guess maybe this is what this link is doing. Let's see. Remove barriers to higher education. Okay. This is a good link, and I think this is a good source for that link. But remember, not everybody clicks through, so you might want to even just put here, like they have this, let's see, equip 55% of Tennessee residents with college degree. I'm not sure if that's helpful. I would maybe find a statistic to give us a clear sense of how this kind of bill will economically benefit, or could potentially benefit Tennessee. But really, I think you're right. By voting no on SB 2263, I would maybe, instead of burying that at the end, put it up at the top. Or if you're going to leave it there, that's where you put the hyperlink so people can find the data themselves. I'm also going to say one of the things you guys might want to do is use either categories or tags to help shape the way people would navigate your web page because or help create categories. That those kinds of meta tags and categories actually help stuff get picked up by Google and other search engines. So you might want to make sure they're not going to read through the entirety of the post. They're going to look at the metadata, and that's where tagging and categories can help. So I would definitely recommend adding that to your posts. Also, you can keep this little icon, but you share a photo of yourself on your About page. So you could also put that there so we have a clear connection of who you are. And then we can look at all of W. Scott Stallings' posts, and then that would help us find out who you are if we want to keep going forward. Related. And see, here we have that they're related to one another, but it's not really clear how they're related. And I think tags would be an effective way to do that. Tuition equity history. I think this is interesting. One of the most important cases for tuition equity is Plyler versus Doe. Is that a historical? When did that happen? What year did that happen? How would I find out the facts of that site, of that? Maybe provide some hyperlinks there. You have a hyperlink here, but this is just a giant block of text. Who wants to read this? So consider maybe using an image to break it up, maybe a video, maybe some more obvious statistics to help with this, or even just like a chart or a table. So here we go. So as far as college tuition goes, only 21 states have at least some policies giving in-state tuition to public colleges or for undocumented immigrants. 10 more, including Tennessee, have bills pending, according to NASPA. This is a great place where you could put like a little infographic or some sort of like visual way to represent this so the reader is more engaged in the material you're providing. And again, tags would be effective to help us categorize this stuff. Rachel, I love to see your face. Good job. I'm also going to point out that you guys have left replies open. And if you want to encourage replies, one of the ways you guys can do that is by replying to one another and adding kind of short responses, or putting links to stories that are relevant to this story in there to kind of give a larger context of the material you're looking at. But if you're going to leave a reply space, make sure it's being used effectively. Again, because you guys haven't used tags or categories, some of this stuff's kind of oddly organized. You have your national scholarship flyer, and I click on it. This is a pretty good flyer. It's a little kind of hard to read because it's kind of this black text over the red is a little difficult to read. Oh, that brought me somewhere. That was pretty exciting. But I think the other thing to consider, you have this link here. Why not put the image in there? Why do I have to click to this to see the image of it? Like, it should just be there. Like, that image of the flyer, this should be on that opening page, and when I click on it, it gets bigger. The other thing is you have dream.us here, but there's no link. There should be a hyperlink there. We incorporated a QWERTY code, which is cool, with a link to the website. But again, I like that explanation. I'm just going to leave it at that. Make sure you're using, again, the affordances of digital media to help make your claims. Let's see. A reflection on the summit. Interesting. Who took this image? Where did it come from? I don't remember a pool. Was there a pool? Advocating and lobbying for a cause is a lot of work. Okay. Although I knew this from the beginning, who's the I here? I guess this is Rachel. It was truly brought home to me during the Tennessee Education Equity, good use of hyperlink. Although somewhat long-winded, I'm going to say this. I would not criticize the summit in your reflection about it. I think some of the presentations actually weren't long-winded. And it makes you seem a little ungrateful, particularly considering the coalition is what funded your ability to go to Tennessee, just as an FYI. The main theme of the summit was data. This was a theme that I was especially interested in because sometimes when advocating for a cause, one can have their heart in the right place, but if the information to back up that cause is insufficient, it'll quickly die out. It's a really awkward, long sentence. It doesn't really seem to go anywhere. This is why I was grateful for the summit to providing ways to read and utilize data. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? You're showing me, but you're not telling me. So maybe give us a specific example from one of the presentations. If you go to the Education Equity Coalition's webpage, they actually have links to their PowerPoints. You could take a screenshot from one of those PowerPoints and embed it into this page so we can see the data that they're providing. One of the biggest lessons I took away from the summit was a lack of preparation for teachers to assist students. In the case of our class, undocumented students with finding colleges that will accept them and allow them to excel. This is exactly what I was talking about. That should be done more throughout the course of this page. Let's see, emotionally as well, especially important when dealing with human rights issues, won't always be convincing, data will. I don't know if that's true. I think if you go back to somebody like Aristotle, he would argue one of the issues with rhetoric is that emotions are actually always powerful, and that people don't always believe data or logos. And so, you're making a big claim there, but make sure that you're not overstating or overgeneralizing. I would actually argue that emotions are most powerful when they're supported with data, not just empty by themselves. So to conclude, I think you guys are on a right track. I've kind of given you some sense of how I'm going to read this page, or how we would all read this page. I would think you might want to be a little more critical in how you use material. I definitely suggest that you exploit the affordances of this digital writing space more effectively. If you're unsure of how to do that, come talk to Dr. Gross or I still love these images of you guys with your pets. I just can't say that enough. I wish Noemi had a pet. Can we give her a cat to hold or something? It would be great. All that to say, I think you guys are on the right track. Let me know if you have any questions, and good job. Good start.